Welcome to the Hey Docs podcast with your host, Jill Allen. Today we're talking about robotics with Todd Blankenbecler, CEO of Zeno Robotics. From the latest advancement in orthodontic robotics to how AI is giving humanoid robots personality and purpose, Todd shares insights on how this technology can revolutionize practices. Plus, we'll dive into what Zeeno offers and the value it brings to orthodontists. If you're curious about the future of tech in your practice, this episode is a must listen. Let's get started. This episode was brought to you by Gray Finch. Hey docs, if you want to have a great business, the right practice management software is essential. But some can be slow, outdated, and lacking good support. That's why I recommend Gray Finch to all orthodontists. It's the fastest, most reliable, and most secure platform to grow your business and improve your efficiency. It's completely web-based, so you can run your entire practice anywhere and from any device with no servers, no downloads, or hidden fees. They even have the most helpful and responsive support team around. Right now, Gray Finch is giving a $500 discount to our listeners. Visit grayfinch.com/Jill Allen to learn more and see why it's one of the fastest growing providers in America. Todd, I am so excited to have you on Hey Docs with me. Nice to see you.
Good to see you. I am very excited also.
Yeah, I have been waiting to do this episode with you, and I know we're just going to have so much to talk about today. But before we jump into that, in the event that somebody does not know who you are, does not know your history in the industry, would you mind sharing just a little bit about yourself, your history, and Zeno Robotics?
I sure will. I'll begin with, I'm honored to participate in your podcast.
Thank you.
To have been looking very forward to catching up today and talking about robotics and what we're doing and what you're doing. And, it's just great. It's going to be a lot of fun. A little about me, for those that don't know, which I'm sure are a lot out there. This is, I thought about it, 2025 is the beginning of my 35th calendar year in orthodontics.
Wow.
It has been my career since I got out of college, and it's worked out wonderfully for me. And I'm thankful and grateful for orthodontics. And my first job out of college was working for a little DOS-based practice management software company, OPMS.
I remember.
Green OPMS. I actually started November of 89, but I rounded up to 90. And OPMS was an amazing little company. The legendary Chris Benson was at OPMS. Chris hired me into the biz. Brett Smith was at OPMS. Brett was at Telebox, Cloud9.
The names.
Great
Finch. Yep.
Ken Swinney was an OPMSer. And Ken and I were involved at Dolphin for a while, and then Ken left to do Cloud9. Laurie Cootie, who is still with us, she's with Practice Genius. And just an amazing little company, and it got me into this industry. I stayed in practice management for about 25 years. Fast forward from 1990 to 2001, I left at the time Practice Works, which is where OPMS had ended up.
Yep.
And I left to join Dolphin to help them launch Dolphin management into the space and run their sales team. And a Dolphin management guy, I guess you could say. A wonderful time at Dolphin, great friends, great colleagues. Ended up about 15 years at Dolphin. I was one of the principals. We had sold Dolphin to Patterson in 2000, and Patterson was a great company to work for. I stayed through 2017. I left Dolphin to run EasyRx. And my experience at Dolphin, I got to know the original founder of Dolphin, Mark Lynch, an orthodontist in New York City. And Mark and I have become friends, and we were looking for another business to do. We found EasyRx. It was developed by a lab in Buffalo, ODL Lab. We bought the technology from ODL, in 16. And then I left Dolphin Patterson in 17 to run EasyRx full time. And EasyRx, another fabulous experience, great people. And we got lucky on our time with EasyRx. It was a universal lab prescription platform, and intraoral scanning was blowing up. The quote digital practice concept was blowing up. So intraoral scanning, 3D printing, in-house aligners, all that stuff. And we were right there with that transition. So just had a great run at EasyRx, partnered with Practice Tech in 2021 to help continue to grow EasyRx. Great place for EasyRx. It's in a great spot, a lot of support, great place for the employees. But I'm an entrepreneur, I've learned. And why stay at the kind of the cushy corporate job when you can go do a startup, which leads us to Zeno Robotics. And so I left EasyRx June of 24 to run Zeno full time and launch Zeno Robotics into the market. And the story on Zeno is Mark, who is very much a forward thinker. He saw intraoral scanning before it was a reality. He saw 3D printing. He came to me 20th time frame and said, I want to be in robots and we need to be in robots. And so you remember we dabbled with Pepper the robot. We had it at a trade show.
I loved Pepper.
Pepper was a great robot, very humanoid. And Pepper was acquired by SoftBank, and it just didn't quite work for our space, but it got us into robots. So we formed Zeeno actually in 2021, and we've been working as a side thing. And then we decided we're having success. I'm going to go back into a startup. This thing could be really big. So I left in 24 to run it full time. So back to my career, it's been all in ortho, mostly software, now in robots. And I probably like you, I've just come to love this industry. I love the people. As I say, I love our customer, the orthodontist. I love the people that they have at their practice. I love the other vendors. It's just a wonderful group of people to hang around with and work with. And it's still it's a business relationship, but it becomes so personal that when you help you're really helping them. You see them at a trade show and they're so thankful. And even when it's not going well, they're reasonable to work with. So I love this industry, and my plan is to continue working in this for the rest of my career. Too much on me, but that's my story.
I love it. And as you're making your way through the years, it just reminds me how long I've been doing this.
All of a sudden, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah. I'm like, I got in as a sterilization tech in 1992. So we're running, and it's been so much fun because we have known each other through the years, and it's a walk down memory lane a little bit.
Exactly.
Which is why I wanted you on today, because I really have appreciated, and I think we've really connected over probably the last 10 years or so, but just what I see that you have seen, and when we're looking at the future of orthodontics, and for you to say, even with EasyRx, you guys really hit it at the right time. I can think back and think that was the exact time when we were moving away from plaster models, moving into this whole idea of digital models and not storing, and just to look at that evolution and where that has went. And now when we think about where things are going, and robotics is really this fun and exciting frontier that we're moving toward.
Yes.
And it's amazing when you look back and we look forward at kind of where robotics has started to come into our industry, from robots that bend wires to this, that, and the other. And so I'm wondering if you can just talk a little bit about some of the advancements that you're seeing, especially knowing that you've been really tuned into robotics, and especially with Zeno and what you guys are seeing with that. But just open our eyes a little bit for maybe some of our docs that maybe haven't been paying attention to as maybe some of the other advancements that we're seeing in our industry.
Yeah, and would love to talk about that. I think we're very excited to bring robots to ortho, and we believe strongly that robots are going to become part of our daily life, just like getting in a car, taking Uber, whatever. Robots have been around a long time. So robots are not new in the sense that they've been industrial away from humans, if you want to think of it that way, warehouse, industrial, that kind of stuff. We're seeing more robots now because we're seeing more humanoid robots, cobots, but robots that are designed to function near humans.
Mhm.
We're only going to continue to see that. We just got back from CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, and Mark and so many different types of humanoid robots were there. Not always applicable to what we're doing, but it's just going to explode phenomenally the next few years. If you look at what's going on in our space today, you mentioned wire bender, that's been around. The wire. If you go into dental, there's a company called YOMI. They're an FDA-approved implant system.
Yep.
So they're placing implants in live patients today. There's a new company, Perceptive is a new company they recently launched. They're going to be a platform. They're going to consist of a scanner, a treatment planning system, and then some sort of restorative robot. And so they're going to somehow design and manufacture and place restorative via a robot. Not a lot on their website about what it's going to look like, but they say they're going to be able to do a crown in 15 minutes. And what's interesting about Perceptive is they raised $38 million to launch this company into the space. So there's going to be a lot of money coming into this. You mentioned sterilization. There's a company in Italy, Robota, that has a working prototype of a robotic sterilization system. And you put the instruments in the cassette, you put the cassette into Robota, and you get a wrapped, sterile cassette at the end. It comes out on the other side, in simple terms.
Wow.
And ultrasonic, wrapping, autoclave, all handled by Robota, their system. We're going to see a lot of processes, procedures automated via robots in the near future, very much so. At Zeno, we're really focusing on office automation. So we're not going to be in the treatment space. We want to be on making the office more efficient, help the staff, interact with patients, that kind of thing. So we're going to be on the office side. And we know what we're selling is going to evolve over time as more functionality comes out in robots. So we are just beginning in robots right now in our space. It's early. We know that. That's why we're in it. And there's a video on our website that Mark talks about. We want to be the early adopter because we know it's going to come. And we were that way a little bit with EasyRx. We got some sideways looks and we mentioned EasyRx, which kind of made us feel like we're in the right place. We really get some sideways looks right now when we say we're doing robots. People are like, really, robots? But robots are a real thing. And we're seeing them now, and we're going to continue to see them exponentially in the next few years.
What you're saying, I think, is so true, to look at just this uptick of robots in our industry. And really, when you think about all of the different points that we have seen them maybe directly and indirectly within our industry, and to think that you guys have been able to identify that and then be like, okay, but how can we take it to that next level? And I think that's what I've always appreciated about you, Todd. And I know you've been able to align yourself with people who think that way too, but it's fun to see and to see where things are going. And that kind of leads me maybe into my next question of thinking about new technology. I think our buzzword right now is digital workflows and some of those areas in regard to that. But I think sometimes we forget to think about that practice efficiency and maybe even solving staff challenges. That if we can improve our workflow within the practice, we may not have to have as many team members. A robot doesn't call out sick.
Exactly.
A robot doesn't need to take vacation. And so
Correct.
I'm wondering if you can take us down your thought process and how you guys are envisioning and starting to see the Zeno robots working in that more, let's think about it from a workflow efficiency standpoint.
While we think robots are going to work in orthodontists, in orthodontic practices, which kind of leads to the workflow, orthodontists, they're always looking for ways to improve their practice. And it's actually really impressive because I don't think you see that in every industry.
Mm-hmm.
But you think about attendance at trade events and bringing consultants in, they're always looking to improve their practice. And that could be treatment, it could be improving their physical layout, marketing, consulting. They're open to new technologies, and which is important because, again, not every industry is open to new technologies. And so it's great that this is an industry, if you want to describe it as an industry, where they're open to new technology, which leads to, and they want to do that to make their practices better, more efficient. They want to help their staff. They're always looking, what can I do to help my staff? And it could be work environment, adding technology, bonuses, HR changes, all that stuff. And we all know this, I'll say small business, but it could be big business also. Everyone is dealing with staff challenges. And that's it's a universal thing now. And one of the reasons we want to bring robots into the orthodontic industry is to help with staffing. And one of the first questions we tend to get, usually from the staff, you would expect it is, are you going to take my job?
Right.
And I get it's a 100% a very fair, valid question. And I would have the same question. And we're not building a solution to replace a staff person. That is not our intent at all. And actually, a different way to look at it is we're not trying to replace someone. The issue is there's not enough staff to do all the work that needs to be done. And so we want to help get the work done that needs to get done because there isn't enough staff to do all the work. It's not, I need 10 people and I've got 11 hired right now. I've got the work of 10, I've got 7, right? And 2 of those are going to call in sick. Some will be at 5, or they're going to go somewhere else. That's the challenge that's the staffing challenge. And that's one of the opportunities we see as robots is we want to help with the staffing to get more work done, which leads to the workflows we want to help with the workflows throughout the practice, escorting patients, carrying stuff, fetching. Yeah, and how we're going to help is going to evolve as we get more customers and enhance our software. That's going to be where we're going to evolve our product.
Yeah. And I love that. And I think you just touched on it, but the workflows that you guys are working in right now and working out, and it really is some of these, what I'll say sometimes is like the busy work of an employee where they're like, man, if I just had 5 more minutes, I could go do this more productive thing. But instead, I've got to run up to the front. I've got to go grab the next patient. I got to walk them back to the chair. I got to have them sit down. You know what I mean? Or I've got to run to the sterilization and run these instruments into stereo or whatnot. And I don't know if you can talk to that just a little bit about some of those workflows that you guys are working on. But I think these are the things that are really exciting, and what Zeeno is, what you guys are working on, Dev Zeeno, help us with.
Yeah, here's what we're doing now with Zeeno is we're escorting patients to chairs. We're carrying stuff around the office. And you gave a perfect example. Finish a visit with a patient, need to get the instruments back to sterile, put the instruments on Zeeno, send Zeeno to sterile. And we've got multiple ways on how to command Zeeno to go to sterile. So it's really fast and really easy. You can bring Zeeno here. You can have Zeeno go fetch. And if you say, what, carry, fetch, what's the big deal about that? Or escorting. If we can save a minute a patient, 2 minutes a patient, and you're seeing 100 a day, that is some real money. And I say it's double, because for every minute, say the staff gets a minute, right? So if we save a minute, isn't it 2 minutes? That's the way I look at it. And that adds up. That's a real ROI calculation for those that have to run that ROI calculation. That's some real stuff. You can bring Zeno over and play a video, how to brush your teeth with braces or whatever.
Amazing. Yeah.
And cool experience for the patient. And it frees up and I know everyone has education, but it frees up the staff to go do something else. Maybe while they're at the chair, they can fiddle around some, right? So those workflows are the core workflows that need to get done every day that we're helping with right now.
Yeah.
And I haven't even talked about the patient experience, but just real workflows. That's what we're helping with.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's jump into just what you guys are seeing from that patient experience and just this, I guess, AI integrated component where we are bringing all of this together in our offices and how that's all working.
Yeah, AI, just a phenomenal, important topic these days in that 24 months ago, we weren't saying AI very often. And now we say AI 50 times a day. We all know AI is everywhere. In fact, I mentioned we were out at CES this week, and we may have walked by 5,000 booths, and 4,992 of them had AI somewhere in their description.
Sure.
In fact, we joked it was a surprise when we saw a booth that didn't mention AI. And so AI is a real thing. It's part of our daily life. It's going to get deeper and deeper ingrained into our daily life. And we want to integrate it into our experience with the robot.
And now, a word from the sponsors who make this podcast possible. Hey docs, is your team overwhelmed by endless admin tasks? Let My Ortho VA throw you a lifeline. With expert HIPAA-trained virtual assistants specializing in orthodontics, My Ortho VA helps streamline everything from billing and insurance to phone support and reporting. Right now, over 100 VAs are supporting 58 practices nationwide, cutting staffing costs by up to 60%. No onboarding fees, no long-term contracts. Just a simple, cost-effective way to transform your operations and focus on patient satisfaction. Brace for growth. Visit myorthova.com to interview your next best hire and align your practice for success. Hey docs, let's talk about Smile Suite, because it's not just another scheduling system. It's a game changer in the world of new patient management. And as a proud Smile Suite partner, I've witnessed the incredible impact it has on practices of all sizes. Smile Suite means your new patient calls and web leads are expertly handled 7 days a week, even during nights and weekends. And they offer top-notch customizable presentation software and seamless post-consultation follow-up. It's like having a secret weapon for your practice's success. Curious? Dive into the revolution at GetSmileSuite.com. And don't forget to mention Hey Docs to unlock some extra goodies. Elevate your practice with Smile Suite, because every smile deserves a suite of excellence.
It is phenomenal technology. And so we've integrated a Chat GPT module into Zeno to have a conversation with Zeno. So we have a conversational AI platform integrated into Zeno. So you can have we call it Let's Chat. And so you being the patient, the parent, the doctor can ask it a question too, the staff, but you can have a conversation with Zeno. And just a cool experience. One of our customers, the way they use it is they'll bring Zeno over to the chair and they'll start Let's Chat, and they'll let the patient interact with Zeno while they go do something else, right? And it's just a really cool experience. In our chatbot, Zeno AI, which we call Stella, you define your personality, and then you can set some ground rules on topics to not discuss and all that. So you can control what Stella is saying. And you can also set some information about the practice. So if they say, tell me about Allen Orthodontics, you can have it say this. Or if they say, where's the restroom? You can have it explain where to go to the restroom. So you also have some where you can give it some fixed responses. along with just the whole chat GPT AI component. And we're going to evolve this like we're going to see AI evolve. We want to build more of a personality type. So it's empathetic. It can sense your emotion. That's all going to come as the AI modules get better. But it's we wanted to have an AI piece built in for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And it makes me jokingly want to yell out, Stella.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I love the name, but I really do love the fact that you're personalizing this robot that's working within the practice. And when you think about, I think about this a lot with my docs, especially my younger ones, when we're thinking about how do you position yourself differently? How do you make your practice stand out? How do you think about patient experience and the interaction that the patients are going to have in your practice versus the 4 other doctors in your area?
Correct.
Something like a technology like this, a robot, a tool like this that we can use beyond the fact of just it's cool to be like, hey, Stella, go get me Johnny's retainer. And Stella comes back with Johnny's retainer from the other room. But just thinking about how all of that incorporates in, and we really are thinking about setting up that practice of the future that probably a lot of people are not thinking about. So I think especially for my younger docs out there, this is something I want you to take notice of and really think about. And I think even the cooler thing about it is beyond the fact that there's a lot of value, and I'm sure you can even talk more about the value of it that we're bringing, but this isn't something that is just so outside of our price range anymore. I think that's really the coolest thing when we think about robots from what a price point would have been 10 years ago to where they're at now, significantly different. So I'm wondering if you can talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, you're right on. So maybe I'll do 2 things. Let me, I'll share the price and then maybe talk a little bit about value prop. And think of it of that way. But you're right. The investment in Zeeno is very reasonable. It's $11,995. And that includes the Zeeno robot. You can see a Zeeno robot right here in the picture. That's the top of it.
Everyone will have to go to YouTube if you want to see it, if you're listening to it on the podcast.
Yeah. So that includes the robot. And then we've developed software to control the behavior of the robot. And so we're as much a software company as a hardware vendor. And so we've developed software to control the behavior. So escort patients to chairs, carry stuff, fetch, play video, Stella. That's all running on software that we've developed. Zeeno robot management software. And so the $11,995 includes the robot, our software, remote setup, and 12 months of service and updates, which we call Zeenoverse. So we're going to provide service to you, and we're going to continue to enhance our software. So you're going to get software updates and enhancements. 12 months of hardware warranty if something physically happens to the robot. And then after 12 months, $295 a month to continue Zeenoverse, to continue receive software support and updates. And an important point in today's environment, this is a purchase. You're buying the robot, you're buying a license to our software. This is not a subscription. So this is a purchase. So on the accounting side, you can deduct it, Section 179, depreciate it. Your accountant will love that. And then it's $12,000, $295 a month. And we're actually doing an early adopter discount right now. It's $10,995 and then $195 a month if you sign up. So to your point, it's a very reasonably priced investment in your practice. People often expect it to be $30,000 and $40,000. So it's $12,000. So it's very reasonable. The value, if you want to think of it as the value prop, we break that into 2 categories. So there is what I spoke to a few minutes ago. There's the real improvement in efficiencies, the time savings, escorting patients to chairs, carrying stuff, fetching, playing a video, interacting with Stella. And all of that is to make the practice more efficient and have to free your staff up to do other things. And then there's the intrinsic value. And you touched on it a minute ago, but investing in technology for your practice. And Mark actually talks about investing in visible technology. So technology your patients can see. And Mark says it's actually really easy. All you have to do is invest some money and commit to getting your staff to engage with it. And you now have technology that's going to grow your practice. You don't have to learn a new treatment technique and all that. So investing in visible technology patients can see, so that the coolness for the patient, the wow factor, and all of that is real. That is what patients remember. Mark, here's what Mark says, and Mark Lynch in the orthodontist, New York City, for the people that just from the beginning. But here he goes, here's what I don't want. I don't want a parent, when they leave the practice, to go home and say, oh yeah, I had to take their child to I had to take Jim to the practice, to the orthodontist. We went after that, we had to run an errand, and then we came home and he's got to do homework. I want the conversation to be, I had to take Jim to the orthodontist. You're not going to believe what the orthodontist has. I want it to be this incredible experience. And that's really what investing in visible technology can do. Like when Mark first bought his 3D printers, he put them right behind the front desk. He wanted everybody to see his 3D printers, right? And so that is, that's part of the value proposition of Zeno. I'll finish with kind of the value story with a quote from a customer. He had a new patient come in, and the child, I think 9 years old, said, I told my mom I want to go to the doctor with the robot. He needed to hear for a week. He was so excited.
Yeah.
But it's a real thing. Excuse me for interrupting, but it's a real thing to have the robot in the practice.
Yeah, I guess I was just going to echo that, especially when we're talking about, I've got an audience of a lot of younger doctors, and our first year or two is all just about brand awareness, just getting people to be aware of us. And then it becomes, over time, if you've done a brand recognition, just imagine something that, if we've got a little extra money in the budget, we can roll this into our equipment loan, some of that. Just imagine what patients could be saying about you if you are one of the only doctors in the area that has the robot in the practice. Think about just that differentiator, that what is your, beyond other technologies that you're using in your practice. And I do think that these are the things that we have to be paying attention to, especially as younger practices, when we think about, gosh, what is going to set me apart? There's a lot of things, but this could be, especially in a saturated area, this could be that one thing that really potentially perpetuates what's going on with how your brand is moving from awareness to recognition.
Yeah, I'll add to that by saying perception is reality, in that people naturally think if they're current on technology, they must be current on everything. And so they must be really good. So they're probably staying current on all the treatment. And so it really does build the brand very much.
Yeah. I get excited about this for you, because I think that, especially as younger business owners, all these little things make a big difference. And to your point, showing off technology, it's really hard. Like, you and I both remember when we used to be able to be like, I've got digital x-rays, and that was a big differentiator.
Big differentiator, yes.
Nobody's going to hang their hat on that anymore.
No.
If you don't, you've got a problem. And so I think it's just being aware of where the future is going, and the things that we need to be thinking about. So it's so exciting to see this, and just to see where it's going. And I'm gonna challenge doctors, anybody who's listening. And Todd knows I sent him a video from a restaurant, but I'm going to encourage you to be on the lookout for robots in your everyday life. And I'm talking, like, I was sitting at a Mexican restaurant in Utah, and my food came out, and I videoed it to send it to Todd to be like,
That's
I
right.
can't believe it. But my food came out and was delivered by a robot. And it wasn't like on a conveyor belt. Like, the robot drove around the tables to get to me to give us our food. And I couldn't tell you the name of the restaurant right now, but I can tell you how cool it was. And I think that cool factor is what we are looking for in our industry, right? We're looking to be that cool new practice that's out there that's got
Yes.
this technology.
I'm going to get you on the team, Jim. You're going to join our team.
Well, it's just a fun thing. So as we finish up, and I know, Todd, we could just talk and
We
talk
could
here.
talk forever, exactly.
But if somebody wants to get a hold of you guys, wants to maybe explore, could I do something like this in my practice? Is it crazy as a startup doctor to want to do something like this? Just find out a little bit more. Talk through how could I integrate something like this into my practice? Or maybe an existing doctor that's, you know what? This is cool. I want to be that I want to have that cool factor in my practice. What's the best way that they can find out more, talk to you?
Yeah.
What's the best way?
Yeah. So we can easily do a web presentation like this where you could see it in action, ask as many questions. And so we don't have to bring the robot to your practice for you to take a look. We can do something over the web. It works great. Schedule a little Zoom, 30 minutes. You can reach out to me and I'll get things organized. Todd at ZenoRobotics.com, or my cell is, well, the phone 404-441-0002. We can do a little web demo. I can show a few videos. They'll demo, answer all the questions about the mechanics of the robot, how it navigates, how it knows its way around your practice, and pricing, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
As I said in the beginning, I've been looking forward to having you on. It's super fun to get to talk about this, and I really do believe this is the future. You guys have been right about this multiple times, and we're going to continue to see it. Just like AI is a buzz, I think we're going to continue to see in our practices. So thanks again for sharing that. So you probably know this, but I love to finish up Hey Docs with a little speed round. Are you ready for a speed round challenge?
I'm ready for a speed round.
All right, here we go. What is one daily habit or ritual that helps you stay productive or balanced?
A daily habit that helps me stay productive and balanced. I do my to-do list every morning.
Love it.
And then I tag my day, and it helps me when I wake up and I feel like I've got a million things to do. It calms me down because I'm like, I got to go work the list.
Yeah.
I know that's more of a business related.
No, it's great.
That's what I do. I'm an early riser, a cup of coffee, and I spend a few minutes putting my list together.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good. And I think knowing that we got a lot of young business owners, I think we're all looking for tips, right? Everyone's looking for tips on how to do it a little bit better. How about this one? What's your go-to strategy for getting unstuck when you're facing a tough problem?
This is actually one of my little, I don't want to say passions, but when you're stuck, you have to define the problem. And so many times we go looking for a solution when we really don't know what we're trying to solve. So when I'm stuck, I sit down and try to define it. And so I ask, what's that mean a lot when we're stuck, maybe as a company, but define the problem.
Yeah.
And that's my advice there.
Yeah, that's great. All right, just a few more and then we'll call it good. All right, if you could add one conventional perk to every workplace, what would that be?
One unconventional perk to the workplace. The workplace is so different now because it's all remote.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a hard one, Joe.
Sorry.
That's a good one. Unconventional perk. I guess I would go down the path of flexibility of schedule and how can we continue to refine that?
Yeah, that's a good one.
And especially when obviously there are jobs where you have to be with, like the orthodontist got to see the patient. So that sometimes that's hard. But I would describe flexible work schedules maybe I would continue down that path. I'm not, we got to get everybody back in the office. I'm the other way. I'm like, let's explore how we can continue to stay away from the office, but get our work done. So that would be my perk.
Yeah, I love that. All right. And last one to finish us off. What's one business idea you've recently seen that you wish you'd thought of?
Oh my God, there's no many. There's so many. One business idea I've recently seen that I wish I would have done. Is it too obvious to say Amazon?
No, I think that's a great one.
And maybe that's just more of I'm blown away daily by Amazon. And I guess I wish I had that sort of incredibly forward big thinking. Elon Musk is another example. What Bezos and Amazon and Musk have done, it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
that I could do, I guess I wish I had anywhere close to that sort of mindset and skill set to build an Amazon or a Tesla or a Starlink.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm right there with you. And
I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're building and have built great things and going. I think a lot of people would look at where you're at and be like, man, I wish I would have thought of that. Todd, it's been just a pleasure having you on, and definitely look forward to talking again, and can't wait to hear even in a couple of years where Zeeno's at, and just I know we'll see at the shows coming up here.
Yeah.
So thanks so much for being on
Thank
Hang Out
you.
with me.
Again,
All
I'm
right.
honored to participate. Thank you very much.
Yep. All right.
Bye.
See ya.
Bye-bye.